The thing about qualitative research is that we're working with words, not with numbers. And we've developed an analyzer here, which is an analyzer that will help you do your qualitative research more easily. The analysis is about how you can take a whole interview and divide it down into chunks. Here's an interview with a senior citizen, an engineer actually, who teaches other senior citizens how to use computers. The interview is here on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side we've got chunks. I think there are 6 of them. Typically there's going to be much more than 6. There'll be 20, 30. What you can see here is that a chunk is a part of the interview. Typically it's a question and an answer. Sometimes answers are very long, but the important thing is that you make your chunks equivalent to what you would consider to be one component of the narrative. I'm going to put in a new interview so that you can see how it works. I've got a text here for an interview with a systems manager. Let's just paste the interview text into the left-hand window. There's the systems manager. And I'm going to say the first question and answer here is my first chunk. Bingo. Then we make a space over here, and the second question and answer is this one. And I'm going to say that's the second chunk. And over. But the more interesting thing is to code up this stuff. And when we go into the coding window here, do you see? We've laid another window on top. When we go into the coding window, we see all the chunks presented here. First one, second one. Do you recognize them? In the second chunk, we get a little bit more information, but it's still on process stuff here. Last year, our focus was on how we can improve the LMS. Well, there's a process. They're going to improve the LMS. Let's just say that there, like that. And there's the LMS. Now, the LMS is an example of technology. So we can say that's an example of technology. And you might also argue that the LMS is an example of a system. Well, that's your choice, really. So we have it. We go on. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because as we've got a browsing facility, we can just run around the data as we wish to. Here's the senior citizen, and we have these 6 chunks here. And we say, oh, this is really interesting, getting them started. Let's have a look at this chunk. Here's the chunk now, and the chunk has these words in it. That's interesting. And it's from the senior citizen's interview. We know that. It's got examples of processes. Let's look at all of the processes across all of the interviews. Here we are. The words are interesting too. Let's say we're interested in anywhere where people mention computer. The word computer is only mentioned 3 times, it seems. And then we say to ourselves, well, what is the most frequently used word? The most frequently used word in this set of interviews is school. What does it all mean then? Well, in order to put something useful into your theses, there's a picture option, and you can output a chart like this, where the color is the first interview, the second interview, and the third interview. But the other thing you might want to be able to do is to pick some chunks which you think are interesting, so we can select them. Do you see? We can select chunks and say these are chunks that we want to put into our thesis. And if we go here, we can export all those selected chunks to the clipboard and open up a copy of Word. And here we are, paste them in. And all the chunks are just pasted in for us thus, with full attribution, who said it, where they were, and what the date was, and blah, blah.